So, the England Creator versus France match yesterday, football match, truly revealed, in my opinion, how much this country doesn't realize the impacts of Brexit and what the rest of Europe thinks about them. And so I'm going to use this as an example because of exactly what happened, and I'm going to tell you all. Because pretty much what had happened was the Sidemen, obviously they have their charity match every year, and they've been doing it for years now. And as a result, have kind of inspired others to do, because there's there's a very, very big difference between when big corporations do these kinds of matches, because they do, don't get me wrong, and they also get to play in a lot of them with the proper professional footballers. But I think the way that the Sidemen do it, by stripping it back, making everything I've said before, they own all their own stuff, they're careful with their sponsors. It's not like some big corporate, we're kind of doing charity, but it's really just a cash grab and an opportunity for advertising for a bunch of companies. It's more like, there is still a little bit of that, but it's genuinely more about the fun, doing something for the fans can enjoy it, and that actually goes to good good causes, of which, the Sidemen charity match this year. But both charities are their own charities this year, which shout out to them. So we know who's running the charity, who's at the top. We know, because we know who to go to, not like these other charities that are like cancer research that have been around for 30 years. And I'm like, anyway, not the point of this video. So, so they have been doing those, and obviously they've inspired others, and now it's kind of a respectable thing. At first they used to do just small venues, and now they've obviously, this is their second year doing Wembley. It was a big deal, and so they decided to set up one where they're going to do the creators YouTube versus England versus France, which was yesterday. So I was having a whale of a time. I was like, what do you mean? It's Pentecost, the Holy Spirit, the Revelations, and the Sidemen Sunday is another Sidemen charity match. I was loving life. I was like, God, you love me. And then they had the enhanced games, the ones where they're doing we're going to talk. Listen, this video is me getting out my feelings about certain things, because we're going to do a whole bunch of videos today about a whole bunch of topics. That's why I'm out. I'm kind of getting the sun refresh, rejuvenation, because I'm about to I've got a whole bunch of videos. But then there was the enhanced games. So then I was watching the enhanced games, which basically like the Olympics, but on steroids, as in actually the people are able. It's just so good. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about that. Anyways, hold on a minute. Nah, guys, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. I'm in the freaking shop here. Tell me why the guy in front of me is in shorts and socks and Crocs. All he's wearing is shorts and Crocs. Oh, I'm just to be able to be naked on days like this. Flip's sake. Oh my gosh, bro was in shorts and Crocs. Anyway. As in, be naked with no consequences. Okay, obviously I have free will. Anyway, so I want to talk about this match. Do I want to go in there? Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, when it's too hairy in the forest, it freaks me out a little bit. Let's just have a look. If not, we'll just turn around. But yeah, so they're doing this match. I'm having the whale of a time. This is the day of my life. And even though it's hot in here, and I'm on my period as well, so I'm like, God, you were working overtime, because there's no time I'd want to just end it. Then when I'm too hot, and it's May, and I just turned another year, and I'm on my period all at once. Oh, hell no. So anyway, so what was I going to say? Yeah, I don't want to walk through here, bro. I feel it feels off. I can't explain it. I'm not walking through here, brother. Something just doesn't feel right. And I feel like if something doesn't feel right, you follow your instincts. Anyways, nobody's asking about that right now. The England versus France game. So it all starts out like a normal match, right? Because the match did not go how I expected. In fact, I was left in such shock. Thank God there was the enhanced games to give me time to process what just happened at the end of the match, right? Because the Sidemen charity matches, yeah, this is why I don't know what this signifies. I don't know what this is all going to signify going forward. Anyway, I don't know what this is going to signify going forward. Oh, for flip's sake. As I was saying, I don't know what this is going to signify going forward, because I feel like, yeah, I've said this before, the bigger things get, especially in this world, the more corporate it becomes, the more it starts to become like an industry thing, rather than just like a fun charity match style event to raise money. It then becomes corporate. Then there's too many sponsors, and then there's big wigs, and then there's investors. And as soon as investors get involved, you know it's ruined, because all they're trying to do is make money or find a way to do this. And like everything that was beautiful about in the beginning is over. And this is why I said to you guys that this year's charity match was really important for me, because I was like, this might be the last time it's ever like the charity match that we've known and loved before, because they're getting big now, you know what I mean? Even their friends are getting big. Angry Ginge won I'm a Celebrity. George Clark was on Strictly Come Dancing. KSI is a judge on Britain's Got Talent. Like, they're going very mainstream, unfortunately, a lot of the people who have watched. I know that's probably like so nice for them in their lives, but I do think, and I know I'm not the only person, because I know a lot of other people would see things the same way. It's like, yeah, but the whole point is that we were watching you because you weren't involved in these things. And that's what I mean. Like, I was actually literally today, one of the videos I was going to do is about this company. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but they're called Defy Media, right? And they ruined about 50 different YouTubers' careers because they were like what they're called MCNs. I can't remember what that stands for. I don't even know what that stands for. My understanding is they're like basically management companies that like manage a bunch of different people, kind of act as the middleman and producers, and they kind of bear the, like, I guess the weight, if you will, of responsibility. But like, the long story short, the two guys who started it, yeah, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And we're going to circle back to what I was saying in the beginning as well, my goodness. But I need to get this off my chest, because unfortunately, what we're going to need to talk about today is a topic I forgot about for a long time. And honestly, I'm like, God, do we really need to talk about this? Like, he's really having me talk anything to do with relationships of any sort. I don't want to have to talk about. And this was my one line. It's like when I said to God, I'll do anything except from singing for like years. Anything except from singing. And he's always like, yeah, see that thing you said you didn't want to talk about? You see that thing you said you didn't want to do? Every single time it's like that. And it's so freaking annoying. I don't want to talk about relationships because this world is a waste of time. And people love selfishly. It's not mine. I don't even care myself. But here we are. I'm going to have to talk about something else. I'm going to have to go even deeper today for flip's sake. Anyway, back to this. So, to the point that he wouldn't let me sleep, by the way. Yeah, I was one of them ones. So, this whole Defy Media, basically, long and short of it, they thought they were smart. They saw a bunch of successful YouTubers. They were like, we're the big wigs. We got investments. We know what we're doing. Then the dumb idiot YouTubers were like, yeah, let's do it. We don't know what we're doing. We're just kids, right? This is what happens in the entertainment industry now, you know? We're these big groups. We're these big companies. We're going to swoop in and we're going to take over. We're going to make you a pop star. We're going to make you a movie star. And then they mold you into what they think is going to work, right? And eventually it all doesn't work out in the long run. Or things go downhill eventually, because what people liked about those people, what made them special, they are ruined with their mentality of everything being about business, rather than, because that's all they care about. They just want to make their money, right? So that's what this group of YouTubers did. They took all these YouTubers over. They ended up becoming the middleman. So all the money that people got from YouTube was being sent to them, and they bought these people's companies, saying, yeah, we're going to give you these shares, which again, they got given shares, told that these shares were going to be so beneficial, which I said to you I said about this to you guys the other day, that money fluctuates. I don't look at money like, I've got £1 at my house. I'll remember to show you guys. It doesn't have any value anymore. Now, because they've got a new version of £1, it doesn't mean anything. That's even in this country. Money has no real value, right? That's why I think it's so dumb how we've all allowed ourselves to become enslaved to it in this world we're living in. Because all the money you have right now in your bank account, it doesn't mean anything. Like, this is why I don't care about money myself. I'm like, listen, if the pound could drop in value because of some random thing that happens in the world overnight. One world leader meets another world leader and they make some kind of deal, and all of a sudden, bam, the pound is the lowest, the weakest currency in the world. And actually, we should keep on the subject of currency and talking about this England-France thing, because you know how England, like, they don't really subscribe to a lot of European things. Like I've said to you guys, I've been to quite a few European countries throughout my life. And everywhere else I've been to, wherever I've been, obviously I've been to Italy, I've been to Spain, I've been to the Netherlands, I've been to Poland, is Iceland count as a European country? I don't even know. Where else have I been? I've got to have been somewhere else in Europe. I can't think off the top of my head. I'd have to look at a map. Even before Brexit, everywhere else had some kind of little feeling. Anyways, we'll come back to that because I have to finish my point about what I was going to say. Basically, the long and short of it is this company buys all these YouTubers. They're all about the money and investment. The money and investment doesn't go the way they think because, again, people were watching the YouTubers because of how the YouTubers were, not because of what these big conglomerate, idiot, bigwig, stupid people investors came in with. They tried to change what the people are doing to say, let's capitalize off that even more. They created something that no longer appeals to the audience. Then they're not making the money they thought they were going to make. Then they ended up going broke. And then they ended up also not paying the YouTubers the money that they were owed. And this is what I fear happening with the Sidemen and all this stuff, and especially where this whole match went, because it was very much a serious match. And this is why I almost don't want to talk about it and why I'm doing it more as a casual video like this rather than like a proper like sit-down video like I want to do the other ones. Because I feel like it's one of those where my arguments for how I feel about the match, I can't win. Because my argument is I think that France took the match too seriously. And that would be the criticism, that would be like the opposite criticism of what others would say about the normal charity match, which is that the normal charity match, they don't take it seriously enough. Now, my thing is, if this is really a good cause and we're doing this for charity and we're doing this for the fans to like have an enjoyable match, the best thing you do is everybody has a really good time. You have a lot of really good content, right? Because we're not there's a reason why this is being done as a creator event that's all being people's live streaming and making videos, and why it's not being done as a official football match where there's like people betting and there's like huge contracts and like, you know, things that like expectations from donors and sponsors and this and that, right? That's the business. That's the football business. These are supposed to be creator-led charity matches. Like I said, that this is according to what they're saying, to be entertaining for those watching in order to keep people engaged, and then also to raise money ultimately for good causes. Because for this match, I don't even know what the cause of the charity was, like even how, because France is the one who really produced all of it, and they produced the whole game like a proper football match in some ways. And their halftime show was sick though. But one thing that did stick out to me, and this I will say this, yeah, because it's another episode of Us Black People where people are racist to us when they choose. They pick us up and drop us, and the world, like everyone who's non-black picks us up and drops us as much as they want. That's one thing I've been thinking quite a lot about, yeah, because the whole entire list of all the people who performed in their halftime show were all black people, were all black guys, and I was just like, the West has such a funny way, right, of just non-black people, such a funny way of just picking and choosing. And I'm actually sick of it, I'll be honest. I'm actually sick of it. I'm sick. I'm actually so entirely sick of it. Like when we want to, oh, you barbarians, oh, like this you chimps, you monkeys, the black communities like this. Well, I'm not surprised with behavior that came from these black people, whatever. But then also on that football pitch, how many of the guys were black as well? Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah, this is why I hate everyone, because I'm just like, you know what, screw you, because you're gonna pick us up and drop us when you want, like, that's the reality. But then also us as our own black people, we also have our own problems. We also the race, I think, that argues the most amongst our own selves. So I'm just like, you can't win anywhere. But anyway, they have the match, I think, was too serious. And that's why I said I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place with this, because a lot of people would be like, see, now the English teams or the English content creators will see what it means to play real football. But the point wasn't about real football, and the reason why they've been making all this money, and the reason why they've got this successful, and the reason why some of us watch them and not who know any of these other people, is because they're not taking life so seriously, because we're sick of everybody who takes things so seriously just to line the pockets of the bigwigs. Because that's what happens. We're sick of that. We're sick of the people taking things so seriously because it's all just to line the pockets of the bigwigs so they can go off and be on Epstein Island. That's the whole point. And so in the first half of the match here, only France scored one goal, which again was a black dude, just like to point out. I'm only pointing this out, yeah, because I've heard a lot of remarks, like more racist remarks than usual recently. And I'm kind of getting sick of it. Kind of getting actually sick, and I'm kind of just like, you know what, if everybody wants to make black people their enemy, I'm the last person you want to sign up to that whole field of thinking. I just want to be so real, because you see me, I'm not other people who come out with my emotions. I'll come up with facts and figures. I'll do my research. I'll do my deep dives. While you're sleeping, right, I will be up in the middle of the night. So I'm just like, guys, I've been screaming the news of everybody. Let's just all love each other, accept each other for who we are. So yeah, listen to all of you who are non-black, and I'm saying this because there's also the Indians have been seeing some certain things. I already know certain things about a lot of cultures. Yeah, I know. So listen, go back to your people and go and pray for that your people don't like fix up and wise up, and focus also on your own problems. Because anyway, yeah, first half goes, there's first goal. Oh, here's my other thing I didn't like. I didn't like that they had a woman on the France team. And I'll tell you why. And I know this is going to sound crazy because I'm a woman, but this is exactly why. Because it's another rock and a hard place. I feel like France, yeah, they played in such a slimy way. And this is exactly what I'd expect of France, by the way. I have no desire to go to France. I was actually going to go to France in January just to confirm I don't like it. You know, like where did I go to confirm that it was what I thought it was? Oh, and I was like, when I went to the hospital, I didn't plan to go to hospital. But when I got there, I was like, okay, thank God I came again when I was like older, after it's already said stuff. It just confirmed that, okay, I didn't make it up. You know what I mean? And anyways, I've never wanted to go there because I find French people to be very pretentious. And just as a culture, right? Not the individual person. I've met lovely French people. In fact, Decathlon is a French company. My favorite, my company where I used to work. And one of my friends there, Louise, she was a babe, loved them. So it's not a lot of things I'm saying, guys. I'm not talking about like the average everyday person. I'm talking about the essence of the operations of the culture. You know what I mean? The essence of like the country itself and like what its government and its history stands for. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about countries. I'm not talking about, I'm not generalizing that, if I go and see a French person, they're going to be like this. I know that's really hard for people to understand this kind of thinking because we're all very one-dimensional these days. So I've always seen France to be very pretentious because I like to cook. A lot of French cuisine is considered like the Michelin, the this, and listen, I've had Michelin this, I know how to cook a lot of the French meals, right? I even know a lot of French. French is actually the European language I know the most of. And I actually even have dreams in French. And it's so funny because historically, like for example, potatoes were like food for like peasants, but then the France brought butter and freaking heavy cream, and a few herbs and this and that and a few techniques, and all of a sudden now this is fine dining. Or like with ballet, you know, it's considered to be, it's a very pretentious, it's like this is a beautiful style of dance. This, which I love ballet as well, by the way. I love ballet. So they're very pretentious. So I don't like pretension. You guys know I don't like that. So I kind of expected everything I'm about to say. And also I feel like Britain and France, they're the same people at the end of the day. Let's be so freaking for real. Like, they're all the same people at the end of the day. So that's another thing where I'm just like, what is even the point of splitting up the countries? But whatever. So they were taking it very seriously. They scored in the first half. And what I didn't like is that they had gotten a third-party ref. So I can't remember what countries the ref were from, but they were different European countries, not England or France. I think it was Sweden or Denmark. I can't remember. And I know the rules of football pretty well, guys. I grew up literally in a country that loves football. I've always grown up around it. Even when I wasn't even planning to be watching it, I'd be watching it. I had, like I said, my best friend used to play in like a few teams. She was in a semi-professional team. I've always been around football, you know, obviously having brothers, you know. And I was watching the game. Like, I'm saying all this to try and give myself a disclaimer. I didn't like that they added a woman because I felt like that was a bit scummy, because then you back the sidemen into a corner. You guys know, yeah? I feel like there's certain moves in life where it's like, you can get away with that. You can get away with that. But is that the way you want to win? Because that's how I feel about after that match. It's like, yeah, they can get away with, for example, saying, well, we did this seriously. The sidemen weren't ready for a serious match, which they weren't, because they thought it was going to be a charity match, because the whole idea is they wanted to do something similar to what the sidemen did. And they said, we'll plan everything and you guys just come. So if anything, you're the ones who are being misleading here, because you said you wanted to do like what we do. And what we do is we try to highlight the creators. So like, that's why the best players on a normal sideman charity match, they don't play their best, because they're trying to give a moment to the smaller creators. So the smaller creators, right, can get their moment. They can get their clip. They can get their viral clips and their stuff which boosts their engagement. Like they're trying to support the people around them. That's why I support them, because they do stuff like that. Because rather than take the moment to be like, yeah, I scored a hat trick in the game, right? They're going to do stuff like, no, I didn't even score this whole game because I was, letting other people, and they don't say it. So they don't say it because they don't need to. And that's on real humility. They don't need to. We know because we've been watching them. This is my point. So, I don't, still now I don't know a single one of the players in France, by the way. I don't know a single one of their names, not even the captain, even though he was in the charity match. Because the way that the game was, you see what I'm saying? Like everything about what was supposed to be a charity match wasn't there. Now, obviously France was happy. The France won. In the first game, it was 1-0 at halftime, which is shocking because usually at the Sidemen charity match, it's like about 5 goals by then. Because again, the goal is to try and get as many people, and they still play properly. But I reckon, like the people who are the smaller creators come in and are playing at like 110%, and the Sidemen usually play at about depending on who it is, a steady 70% or so, and their friends who've been doing it for a while. And mind you, they've played against other teams. Like they even played against the women's England team and beat them at whatever it was, right? Which brings me back to my point about France having a woman on the team. I was just like, so you're putting them into a tough spot now, because if something bad happens, like say they go to tackle them, and some of the sidemen, like Harry's very aggressive, very, very aggressive in the defense, which is what makes him incredible, right? He's very aggressive, and you've got Ginge, again, big, very aggressive, and I think those guys are fantastic football players. If one of them goes to slide tackle her now, or goes to tackle her anyway, and she gets hurt, it's like severely, they've just hurt a woman. And that's just not fair. That's just not fair. And she ended up taking the penalty. So again, if the sidemen, this is why I feel like my voice is valuable when talking about certain topics. If the sidemen now speak up about any of this, they're going to look bad because you're not supporting women. What about equality? What about whatever? I don't like this. I don't like it. Because I, as a woman, I wouldn't want to get the sympathy vote in this. I wouldn't want to just have gotten in there or only being respected because no one gets to talk about it. It's the same way that as a black person, I don't want a job. I don't want anything that anybody's doing because they're trying to do some kind of social work in hiring or tolerating or befriending or whatevering a black person. I don't want any kind of sympathy vote. I don't want any kind of participation awards for the sake of anything. Not because of being a woman, not because of being black, not because of nothing. So this kind of stuff really irritates me. And also for her, because it's again, these are the types of things. This is a very these are the types of things where it's a very smart play on Britain, because it's Britain is not confrontational. England is not confrontational. So these are the types of things that English people get annoyed about in secret and won't say anything. That's why it's me, a black immigrant woman here saying this, and probably not a lot of other people, right? A lot of people in the comments were we feel like this was robbed, because true, a couple of times, when the girl, a couple of times when they got when people got penalties, there was times where the sidemen definitely should have got penalties and stuff, and they never got it, and they were not getting them. But then we knew, and even because we had, England had their own, we had the usual Stephen tries and this other guy doing the voiceover, and they were as soon as they're calling to VAR, because they kept doing VAR, right? And I'll give it to them that the last one where Ethan had gotten, unfortunately Ethan did it twice, so Ethan's probably kicking himself. Ethan, who was so happy to have played at Wembley on the day, on 1 year, it was the first, not last year, but a couple of years ago, the first time they played at Wembley, it was the year his daughter, he was playing on the same day his daughter was going to be born. And then the next year she was there and he scored his first at his home football team, and then he brought his daughter onto the pitch, and it was a whole big beautiful moment. Because again, it's more about the vibe and just the positive vibes and the positive energy and seeing each other win and having a good time and raising money and you know what I mean? And friendship and family. That's what they're about, the sidemen, So that's why it's just so nice. And so, so for him to now be in this situation where he's there VAR, because he's another aggressive one, to be honest. VAR, and I didn't think it was that deep. He just missed the ball and hit the guy, but they were both going to kick the ball. The guy got it a second before, and Ethan's foot literally slid because they showed their VAR from 50 angles. And I was fair enough, he didn't hit the ball. and he did hit the guy, but not in like an aggressive way. So when they were like, because even as soon as they started, the ref was like doing the VAR thing, we were like, yeah, we know that they're going to get it and they're going to get a penalty. And lo and behold, that was the winning penalty. They'd been on 3-3. It was like it was the 90th minute. It was the 80th. It was like the 80th. Yeah, it was like the 90th minute. They were on 3-3. So at the very last moment, they're trying to score another goal at the end so they can just finish it. I think they want to go to penalties, which again, penalties, if they were doing this for content, if they were doing this for to try and put other people on, because like at the charity match, when some people who didn't get to score in the game, when it went to penalties, it was like, okay, everybody who's doing a penalty, somebody who hasn't scored, not who's the best so we can prove we've beaten anyone. Like, no, I can't even tell you which team from the charity match won. I don't remember, because that's not what it was about. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean when I say I just feel like everything with the Sidemen is just going to go so corporate now. And then also, this is why I feel like when other countries don't get why certain things, or other people, like a lot of people don't get why the Sidemen are so popular and why they've been able to consistently make money. It's because they've drawn people in on who they are and they haven't compromised on who they are. You've got the core boys who just started in America, who are kind of like the offshoot, from everything that happened with FaZe. What went wrong with FaZe? FaZe had managers and owners and investors and it all went wrong. So now Core, what have Core done? We each own 1/6 each, all 6 of them, which the Sidemen have been doing for over 10 years. Every decision the Sidemen make, it's a vote, and the unanimous vote wins, and that's that. End of story. Move on. They show up every single week. Every single Sunday, there's a Sidemen Sunday. They each have a responsibility for each one, and they show up for each one. If it's their responsibility, they plan the video, they do everything, and everybody shows up, and that's just what they do. And the same for their other channels. They all have a certain number of videos they do for the Sidemen Reacts channel, a certain number of videos they do for the More Sidemen. It's all organized. They have a spreadsheet. If you're late 30 minutes to the shoot, you get a yellow card. If you're late, and I think it's an hour, you get a red card. Red card means you get another video. And a yellow card means you get another half video that you have to do per month. Yeah, they're serious and they're reliable and they're consistent, and that's why they are where they are. And they're actual friends, not because they're just coming out with all this like pride and all this like we're better than others and we're trying to just destroy everything. No. They are strategic. They've learned that. We know that if we stay true to who we are as people, like I love the fact that they dress so casually in their videos. Like they'll be here doing a video that they've damn near spent like 200,000 on, and then Harry will show up in like a hoodie and his pajama trousers, and I absolutely love it. I love it. It's not this big wig. You go to the football and then you got the managers dressed like this and then this and that. Like just who cares? Like who cares? Like who actually cares? It ruins it. And like, this is the reason why I feel so passionate about this, is because I'm like, okay, France won, great, and it's going to cause more division because other people are going to be like, oh, so the Sidemen don't take it seriously, because the Sidemen in the first half, basically, they hadn't realized. So then in the second half, once they realized what it was, they corrected things, you know what I mean? And so that's why, like I said, it got down to 3-3. So it's not like it was any person's game at that moment. And it would have been, like I said, better for them to go to freaking penalties, right? Because this is what I like about the refs at the Sidemen charity matches, is they kind of understand what's happening. So again, they ref to like an 80%. They don't take it as seriously as they do. And you can see they enjoy it more because they don't have to have the pressure of like, your decision as what people's money has been invested in and the expectation of this, or the people gambling. Like, you don't have to deal with any of that. It's just a joke. It's just a bit of fun, and it's all for a good cause. And so, you know, the refs are going to get it because but yeah, so when they did that, I was like, oh, you should have just gone to penalties. That would have been so good. You could have like put more of your French players on, because now and now the other thing is, this is why I say people ruin their own opportunities. Now the English folks who are watching, especially the younger people, younger than my age group, they're not going to look into the French players. They're not, because usually after like Sidemen videos, they always bring on smaller creators to stuff they do, rather than celebrities, which is again what I like about them. While other people, when they get all up in the upper echelons, they're like, oh, forget the people, like forget the smaller people. I'm gonna have the A-listers. You don't see A-listers in Sidemen videos almost ever, or Sidemen anything almost ever. It's only KSI who gets involved with stuff like that. And that's why I think, thank God, he has those boys to keep him down here on the ground, right? But you'll always see them bring up a smaller creator, and I'm the one who's also there. Like, oh, I now subscribe to Angry Ginger. I now subscribe to freaking Danny Aaron's. I now subscribe to flipping the Bov Boys. Like, in what world did I think I'd be subscribing to the Bov Boys? But heck, I was watching the freaking Bov Boys spend a week in like go on a holiday to Benidorm yesterday, and I was like, loving my life. You know what I mean? Heck, I'm there watching these people's flipping streams now. It works. You know what I mean? And so again, that's where people are missing. And it's so funny because a lot of people make fun of the Sidemen, or they're just like, oh, the Sidemen, like, what about the Sidemen? And that's why I respect the core boys in the States who are like, who really are taking every single piece of advice that the Sidemen are giving them about so many different things. And rather than that, then trying to like see a group of people that are successful and be one of these big corporations that comes in like, I'm an investor, I've been making money for the past 50 years, I know how to tell you what to do with the community that you created. That's the bit that annoys me. I'm like, but you don't know why we're here. That's why, and I'm worried for when Kai Cenat comes back here. And that's why Hollywood's scrambling right now. The reason why people were there for the stuff that was successful in yesteryear is because people came for something real. Now you've just looked at the data, you've looked at the analytics, you've looked at whatever, and you've tried to conjure up something that that you think is going to work. And this is, I also feel like with the whole France thing, I think France kind of wanted to come in and teach England a lesson, which I don't even mind it to an extent because, yeah, England did leave the EU on a scummy one. And it has most definitely been in bed with the United States, because I can tell, because like, I'm like, why am I seeing more and more of America where I am living here? I can't remember what it was the other day. There's something else I noticed, and I was like, isn't that it? So, you know, from that standpoint, then yeah, if I was France, I'd be out to get Britain. But the thing is, yeah, they didn't really win anything. Like the content creators, they didn't really win anything because yes, they've got the rights. This is what I'm saying again. You've got the bragging rights of the match, which again, you only won by the final penalty, which is still a win. Because you guys know, as I always say, don't be a sore loser. This is why I know the Sidemen will never turn around and be like, oh, this. They're never going to say what I'm saying, because I know they're not like that. Because obviously, as I say to you guys, if you're a real winner, you should be winning so far that the people, there's no ifs or buts. So this is why I don't even like, you know, in anything, I'm like, you should try and be like 3 goals ahead. So like, you know, I mean, try to be 10 goals ahead so that you don't have to, you know, try and be, you know, clutching at straws. But I'm only saying this because, like I said, it was such a different energy. And where I normally come off of like the Sidemen charity match, and it's all warm and fuzzly, the teams all hanging out together, you can tell they're all going to go to the after party. Everybody's just talking about their favorite bits. There's already clips going viral before the match is even finished. And so by the time all the boys get off the pitch, whichever team they're on, and like this year again, the Sidemen made an effort to bring in people from all over the world, right? So we had more other people from other places. We had people from the South Americas coming in. Some people didn't even speak good English. So now I know who those people are as well. And I'm going and subscribing and I'm getting involved. I don't even know who these people are. I don't even understand their languages, but the heck, I have to find out who they were because it was fun to see them on the pitch. I was crying for their freaking goal. I never seen them a day in my life, but knowing this is their first ever goal, they're in England, they're representing their whole country. There was some guy from India, and the fact that they were so excited, and that knowing that there was a whole country excited, you know, to see, like, especially for my generation, it's nice to see these kinds of like examples of people doing just like wholesome, healthy things. And also for the fact it's all in the name of charity, and, you know, they're setting a really good example. So to be used to that feeling coming off, and like seeing like the guy who scored the final goal, he's like I can't remember what his name is, but a lot of the Sidemen also watch him. And that's the other thing when investors and stuff like and bigwigs get involved, they never know the people they get involved with. It's like when Kai Cenat did his 3rd Mafiathon, he had all of Hollywood coming in for his 30-day stream, but none of them knew who he was before their agent told them, oh, we need you to go onto this thing for an hour. And you could tell it was awkward. Versus when Erling Haaland did a video with the Sidemen, and the Sidemen did a video with Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland used to watch the Sidemen growing up. Erling Haaland, the professional football player. So when he did the videos with the Sidemen, they did the Guess the Footballer with him. And then they went on his channel, and then on his channel, he had them to test all these football drills and football preps and stuff like that. And it was really fun, and it was so funny, and it was so entertaining because Erling has actually grown up watching the Sidemen. Like, he knew who he was getting involved with. Or like when Kai and like other people, not just some bigwig who's just like, oh, you silly kids, you know. it's just like you ruin it, and you're like the kids you're talking about, the silly kids you're talking about is also the actual audience itself, mind you. So, you know, it was nice. It's nice. It was such a nice and fuzzly feeling. Like after the Simon charity match, I was like, oh, I wish it wasn't over. And then I wanted to watch every piece of content, every single behind the scenes. I'm like watching everybody's trip. I'm seeing people's training videos from when people are training all over the world, wherever they're coming from, what time their flights are, people being jet lagged, what everybody ate for breakfast that the Simon offered, what the hotel is like, the freebies, like literally everything. You know, people from other cultures experiencing London, because the vibe of it, the moment, is what was so nice. And even the players said this year at the Simon charity match, they were like, we feel like this has been the best one because this is the first time there's not been anyone with any ego in any of the teams. This is the first year they felt like there was no ego related issues, and I was like, you could literally feel that off the screen, and it was so nice. So then to get to the end of this one, and I just felt like it wasn't even about the score, it was just about everything, how it was played, and then people were arguing in the comments. I'm like, division, like all this division, all this ego, this is the exact opposite of why I'm here. Like, this is the exact opposite of why we're here. We're here because it's chill. It's not serious. People not taking themselves seriously. There's humility. Everyone wants to see each other win. Everybody wants to see everybody have their moment. Like, and it's everybody coming together from everywhere and just supporting each other. And so for the vibe to be off, and then France was like really screaming and like really excited, and they had fireworks and stuff, which was great. And obviously I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for the French youth. You know, that's nice for them to see that for their culture and for their country. But then also I'm like, but now there's been a seed of division sown. Like, now I feel like this is what I mean when I say I'm not looking forward to getting older, because I feel like this is the kind of stuff that like is now going to affect us, where we're going to start to behave like the older generations. You know, like I said about the race thing, because I don't notice the kids having any race issues. You know that all I've ever seen with kids, yeah, even when I was, you just hear actually ignorant comments, but there's not like a deep hatred as a result of some kind of event, like what is happening with adults. That's why I know when adults are like, when anybody tells me that, when anybody's racist towards me, for example, or I see anyone who's racist, I'm like, there's going to be something specific you have against your own wound. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean where I'm like, we're now starting to get to that age where we're all getting older. The sidemen are all older than me, right? They're all older than me. I think me and Harry are the same age, but I think he's still older than me. And we're getting to that age now where we're going to all be like getting older. And so now we're going to start having these things that we're going to actually start to notice. Because whereas normally it was like, great match, Ginger's my fave, Harry was sick, blah, 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 like in the comments. Instead, last night it was like the French being like, yeah, we're so excited, da, 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 da. And then all the UK people, English people, like, it's rigged. And like I said, it's not good. It's not good, you guys. It's not good. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, because I feel like it's marking the beginning. And I always say this to you guys, that there's always these one events where in the moment it doesn't seem like a big deal, but then in the long run it becomes one. Like I said to you guys about these two songs, Savage by Meg Thee Stallion and WAP by Cardi B, but more so WAP, right? Because you had WAP, Cardi B, and then you had Kylie Jenner in the video as well. So that's pulling in all the girlies, right? All of everyone. And then there's the first time that us women are singing about our bodies the way that men used to talk about us, like in music. And that just turned the tables. And as soon as that moment took place, it became a free-for-all for us all to just be really degenerate in our lyrics, to the point that then Sexy Red had a whole freaking lip gloss line named some of the most insane things I've ever heard in my life. And I'm just like, oh, but this is a result, because there's always that one turning point, and I just felt it in my heart. And then like in that moment as well, because the next thing I went to watch was the Enhanced Games, where it's just like the Olympics but specific sports, but the people live together for 4 months. That everything about them is controlled and monitored, their sleep, their training, their everything. And then they go to compete in sports to see if they can defeat the world record. Is guaranteed money. You win, I think it's like, how many? I can't remember the exact money, but each thing, I think there's like 4 people who compete, and you get a maximum of 250K is the prize. If you can beat a world record, you can get up to a million, which is a lot. But the thing is, and this is the caveat, you can be on like some type of performance enhancers. It's just that they actually monitor it. So like if you're whatever performance enhancing drug you're on, they'll be monitoring it so that it's known, which obviously this is a genius move, because the company Enhancement themselves sell hormones and peptides for sports. So this is just their excuse to try out their own products on some of the best athletes, because of course people who went to the Olympics like 10-20 years ago and stuff like that, or people who felt like they could do better, or even people who just competed. And by the way, not everybody's actually taking any enhancers, but they are still in the program, so they'll tell you there, who's enhanced and who's not. So it's genius. So thank God that was on. Like, I got a notification that, like, from, what's that app called, flipping Rumble. This is while I was just sitting there dazed after the match, and it was like, oh, the enhancement games, blah blah blah, and I hadn't even known anything about it, and I was like, thank God I need something to save my life, because I was thinking I was going to have the serotonin dopamine hit of, like, after the football match and the warm and fuzzlies, and I was feeling so just spooked is the word, because I was thinking, whoa. Because even the sidemen, you can see, not a single one of the sidemen themselves, by the way, actually scored a goal. You could just see that the sidemen, like, when they branched out, I think that there's the underlying tones of us all realizing that branching out sometimes isn't worth it. And this is why, like I say to you guys, that a lot of times with creators, a lot of times with success in life, right? People want success. A lot of people who became successful, even if you look at the artists and the actresses and the people, even the comedians of yesteryear, the years when they were popular, the years when they were successful, it was because what they were doing, it was real, it was raw, it was fresh, like nobody else was doing it. So, and it came from a real place. And then as soon as it becomes like, oh, about money and about the business and about, oh, let's scale. And then all of a sudden, people, they're not as successful anymore. So then they have to start trying to do different things, because what people don't seem to realize is, like, I see this with creators all the time, and I think about it myself. And I'm so grateful for for me only having like less than 1,000 subscribers, because it gives me time to think about this stuff. Like, because there's so many thoughts I have of like what I would do, if I had a bigger budget to spend on my videos and this and that. And then I'm like, but will I actually attract the kind of people I want at that point? And will I then lose the people who were here because they liked that I just randomly took videos like this when I'm popping out to the shop before I go get ready to film my YouTube videos for the day, on the bank holiday Monday? Because actually I like the people who I've pulled in now. And so why am I going to go and dance and put on the performance in the future? Like, I should actually keep it as it is. And you see that happen all the time. That's what's happening in Hollywood. That's why they're having to try so hard in the older generations to like be relevant again. Because what made them relevant at the beginning was the fact that you would see rappers out on the streets selling their CDs, selling their tapes, ready to rap then and there for you, not wearing 100,000 freaking cufflinks at the Met Gala. You know what I mean? Not flashing around on a yacht. I keep dreaming of being on a yacht, by the way. I don't know why. I keep dreaming of myself like on a yacht. I have no desire to be on one. Just want to be clear. I keep dreaming about myself being on a yacht. But anyway, like, they lose what was beautiful. Like, even when I listen to comedy, because you guys know I'm into comedy, and I'm seeing a lot of, for me, the comedians I like are the new comics, the ones who are like small, who do small venues. And you guys know I go to comedy shows. It's like my therapy. Comedy is my therapy, I feel like, yeah. And the old school people, the way they get on stage, you can tell they've got that air of like, okay, so I've done this before. I know the rigmarole. I know the crowd. I know the this. And it's just, that little bit of ego, the overthinking, but then also the like, it's like how, like, for example, like how Joe Rogan is a good example of what I'm talking about right now, right? Hold on. Like how Joe Rogan went from, oh my gosh, let me be right back. This is one thing about my face that I actually appreciate is I don't really sweat. I just glisten. And it's not great when I'm trying to record a video. Let me stand in the shade again. Sorry, I'm just trying to be somewhere else because I was gonna, but I need to get the rest of this off my chest right now so I can focus on the things that I don't really want to have to be talking about, that I'm going to be talking about. But like Joe Rogan's another example where he was somebody who was a bit more impartial, had anybody on his podcast and whatever. And I mean, it's like now bro's clearly in bed with the administration, right? With the server admins. Bro's probably clearly in bed with the server admins, and now it's not fun anymore. Like, it's not fun anymore. It's not balanced. Like, that's what I'm saying. Whenever Hollywood and any type of big corporations get their hands on anything, whenever things start to go past a certain level and things get big, the Sidemen charity match, when they were doing it themselves, because they do everything themselves, now they've gone and done it in France. They're at this stadium, and they were shocked. They were so shocked at so many of the things that happened because they're hyper intentional about the things that they do, at theirs and why they do it and all of that. And like I said, it's not like they have no sponsors. I mean, Adidas sent some clothes, and I think the Adidas sponsored their training video. So in the training video, they were all wearing like the Sidemen kits, but with the Adidas logo, stuff like that. And Mr. Beast Feastables sponsored one of the teams. So, stuff like that, which, get your bag. I always say, guys, we got to make money, but then it gets to a point where, and this is my worry with these things, where it becomes too much about the politics, too much about the money, too much about the business. And then everything all of those things only suit to then favor the elites at the top and then crumble the things that were created and prevent those people who you had initially being there. Because, I'm one of the last of the Sidemen fans. Like, my brothers don't even watch Sidemen like that. Like, even when I was talking to this other guy, yeah, and I was asking him, do you watch the Sidemen charity match? Because he said he was 24. I was like, oh, bless you. That's so cute. I didn't say that out loud, but I was thinking it. But anyway, and I was like, what do you think of the Sidemen charity match? I was thinking, you're the most likely person who's going to know what I'm talking about. He's like, yeah, I'll be watching it. But the Sidemen isn't the same anymore. And then he was telling me about it, and I was like, that's interesting. It's interesting, like, his opinion about all of that. And I'm like, yeah, you're now losing out your old fans. Like, who do they expect to get? Like, who do these, like, this is what I'm saying. Who does Hollywood and all these big wigs and all these corporations and all these people, like, who do they expect to get? Because we are now the buying power. Like, we are now the ones who are going to be the ones to take the time, like, with the, like, we're the ones right now on days like this. I was thinking, oh, I miss the days when, like, I'd be going to, like, a festival and, like, I would never do stuff like that now because I just don't want to be anything to do. Not because it's a festival. I have absolutely no problem being at a festival, purely because I don't want to be involved with anything, again, that supports these organizations and stuff. But, like, they're ruining it. And, like, it's getting ruined. And I feel like, I think even the Sidemen know that whatever happens, because they were like, what do we need to do to make this bigger next year? And I was like, maybe you just don't make it bigger. And I really feel like that's a greater message for all of us. Like, maybe you just don't make it bigger. Maybe sometimes you find where you're at. Like, I've been watching a lot of, like, small creators, and I love it. I love watching people who've got, like, a couple thousand subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, because, they're still at that stage where they haven't achieved anything enough for them to change, like, who they are, and they haven't made enough noise for the gatekeepers and the bigwigs to come knocking. All right. So it's still fun, and you can always see it, how it just changes once people get the money and, like, the opportunities and, like, the whatevers, and you're like, and this is not what we were here for. This is not what we were here for. You know what I mean? We were here for what you were doing before, and then you lose the dew of the sheeple, and then these corporations, the reason why they are so obsessed with money is because they're now trying to do everything they can with said money to try and acquire something that you can't acquire, because, and this is why I think God always wins, because God created us all as we are. So if we just live as we are and we just are who we are, it's naturally, if we find our gifts and talents, like the Bible says, your gift will make room for you. So Hollywood has to use all this money to try and, replicate what God just gives to people naturally. And then they can't. And then they just dispose and try to move to the next one or to the next youngest one. This is why things like people say, oh, you have to be this age, or you have to be this. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you got it and God's got it for you, then it's for you. But if you're then going to go to these corporations who have their own ideas and agendas, then you may be screwed, mate. And honestly, I hope we're not at that stage with the Sidemen. But, like, this is why I said, anyways, guys, I'm going to actually go, because I have actual other videos like to actually talk about. But this is why I said to you guys that this might be the last Sidemen charity match that I get to see, like, properly, genuinely. Because if this is where we're headed and this is what it's going to be like, it's just going to be another freaking corporate entity where everybody's taking everything so seriously. And for what? Because that's my point. For what? What was gained in taking everything so seriously? Because a lot was gained in not taking things so seriously. And yes, they picked it up at the second half of the match, and it was what it was. And then the other France won by the penalty at the 90th minute, whatever. But what did we gain? Okay, France gained a win, but none of their content creators got anything. And I don't even know what the charity is that the thing is for. And now there's division between the two countries, like, at least for the younger people, because now people are not going to forgive the French creators. That's the thing. And now you've got kids. There's going to be kids doing clips on online, yeah. It's going to be the kids doing clips, like, yeah, and they're going to be nitpicking because they're horrible. They can be horrible. It can be horrible. And this is where it's like your job as the leaders and the creators of things to create the type of atmosphere you want to create. You know what I mean? And so, anyway, it's just made me a bit sad. So I was glad to see the enhanced games, although I have my own thoughts about that, but then we'll talk about that another time. Because at least it was on for like literally all night. So I was watching it for actual hours and I fell asleep. Which thank God, because I was not feeling good about the Sidemen, the England versus France thing. And I just didn't think it was fair. Because as I said, the whole idea was it's supposed to be like another charity match. They're trying to branch out the idea. And, the Sidemen are very much gentlemen in that they gave over to them to say, hey, you guys do it how you do it. We'll just trust you, And so for them to take that as an opportunity to kind of be like, and kind of take away all the things that made the Sidemen charity match. Well, the charity match is not even the Sidemen charity match, but their charity match is successful. Because let's be honest, and this is my point. Just like how Hollywood wouldn't have the money if people like, the Jay-Z's of it all went rapping and putting things out, or the comedians weren't going out and doing things. The same way that if the Sidemen hadn't done everything the way they did it, that match would have never been happening in the first place. That match would have never happened, because that match only was able to happen because they knew what they were doing. They were able to be consistent enough, and they were smart enough to find what nobody else could think of doing. So the fact that this is how people responded to it and this is what happened, this is what I'm saying, why I say I hate how the world operates, where it's like, it's always the prideful people and the egos, where it's like, well, if you have why I say ego, having pride and ego is the delusion, because, well, if you know so well, then how comes you guys hadn't created this? How comes you guys hadn't been doing this successfully for the past whatever years? How comes you guys haven't raised £6.2 million this year and 4.8 million last year for charities? If everybody knows so well. Exactly. That's my point. Because you don't know. And because they are doing something that evidently you're not doing. But just nobody wants to admit to that. Nobody wants to hold themselves accountable. And that's where people like me have a problem, and why people like me are like, I don't want to be around anyone. But anyways, I'm going to go and film the videos I'm actually supposed to be filming, because it's getting really warm. I don't want to get too much sunshine, bro, because the thing is, the more sun I get on my face, as you can see, and you can see it more easily when I'm inside, when there's not all this weird lighting happening, I just feel like, my face just absorbs the sun more and more. Of course, it's the melanin. I get it. And it's a good thing, but it just makes me hotter. So anyway, if life's a game that's played to win, you guys, I'm sad. I'm not going to lie. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with it, because I just feel like this is just a signal. This is one of those moments where I'm like, this is a turning point, isn't it? This is the turning point where it's all going corporate. And I just hope, I'm praying with everything, that the Sidemen are still stuck in staying true to who they are, that their version of regrouping is to just be like, we think it's best if we just do things ourselves the way we like to do it, because like I said, it was such a high and so many people gained so much new cool content and exposure. Money was raised after the Sidemen charity match, that for this to be the result of this, it's just like, oh, really? Anyways, you guys, if life's a game that's played to win, God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.